Tonight on The Roast, our spy agency gets hacked, Cardinal Pell apologises for child abuse in the Catholic Church, and a study reveals that kids' diets are influenced by athletes. So that's Athletes 1, Healthy Harold, none. Computer hackers have reportedly stolen classified documents from a number of Australian governmental departments, including Defence, Foreign Affairs and Trade, and even our domestic spy agency, ASIO.
2 ASIO officers leaving Canberra on a secret mission to break some bad news.
Possibly the news that an ABC TV crew is filming their secret mission. Now, the breach was reported by ABC's Four Corners, and since it was a story about spies, it had to tick all the boxes. Shadowy figures, cascading matrix numbers that don't mean anything, sinister music, and national security experts blending in seamlessly with their surroundings. And since we're covering the story as well, Marty? Excellent. Now, of course, the problem with any story on espionage is you never truly know whether something's the truth or just a masterful lie.
The journey we were taken on around Canberra was nothing short of extraordinary.
Okay, that's bullshit. I've been to Canberra, and unless the Sky Whale landed on them while they were driving, there was nothing extraordinary about that trip. But to the key issue here, what was stolen from the ASIO building?
Someone has stolen the blueprints.
Oh, not the blueprints. They haven't even finished building it yet. What are they going to do now? Just improvise the rest of it? Well, it turns out ASIO's blueprints were stolen from the building's construction company, either by hackers or by those dodgy tradies that a Current Affairs always warning us about. So look, who actually did this?
China. Chinese.
Chinese hackers.
The Chinese.
Multiple locations, other countries.
You wanted to take a guess?
Oh, I'd suspect China.
China. Specifically,
The attacks came from the 2nd Bureau of the People's Liberation Army's General Staff, Department 3.
which is a terrible name for a spy agency. Even if it does make for one hell of a badge, it's probably shorter in Chinese. And now they've got ASIO's blueprints, revealing state secrets like where we hide our ladies' bathrooms. So for more on this, we're joined by our national security correspondent, Clark Richards. Clark, the Chinese, I thought they were our friends.
Me too, Tom. And by me, I mean Julia Gillard. Betrayal. Thy name is China. With one hand, they take our iron ore, and with the other, they're hacking away at our state secrets. Like how much we're screwing them with the price of iron ore. I wouldn't be surprised if Ms. Gillard takes the Asian Century white paper right off of her fridge after this.
Okay, and now that China's got ASIO's blueprints, what are the implications of that?
ASIO's worst nightmare.
What, war?
Cheap Chinese knockoffs of their office. It's also a giant breach of our national security.
Yeah, right. So what's ASIO going to do?
Well, the building's almost finished, so they don't have many options. One whole side of this giant building is glass and vulnerable to an attack from anyone with eyes. So a few curtains wouldn't hurt. Other than that, keep secret spy conversations in your secret spy building to a minimum. And if you must talk, write it on a piece of paper in lemon juice and hold it over a heater.
But Clark, when this same thing happened to the United States and then again to the United Kingdom, they both had to strip out their entire buildings and start again. So why won't ASIO do that?
Oh no, that's what they are doing. In fact, they've already done it. The layout is completely different to what's on the blueprints. Those blueprints, useless.
Clark?
If they think accounting is on level 3 still, they're wrong. It's now on a secret level.
Yeah, Clark, what are you doing with your face?
I'm winking so you know I'm lying. They're not really changing the building. That would take forever.
Okay, now Clark, this ASIO hack has reopened the debate about whether agencies should admit to security breaches, but experts say that in Australia, we don't have a culture in this country of talking about it. How can we rectify that?
Well, it's certainly a tough issue. Secrecy is at the very core of spy organisations. But ASIO workers need a place to confess to embarrassing security breaches so they can learn from those mistakes. That's why they're trialling a new support group where employees can come and confess in a safe environment.
Last month, a teenager hacked into our database and stole the identities of all of our overseas operatives. Then he called me a noob. I left the ASIO Facebook account open, and it was fraped.
I like to flash people. I'm in the wrong meeting, aren't I?
Next up tonight, and a study has found that 65% of boys are more likely to choose a food product if a male sports star is featured on the packet. That study coming from the Department of No Shit Sherlock within the Centre of Behavioural Research in Cancer. Now, Jane Martin of the Obesity Policy Coalition and one of the authors of the report has come out saying we should not be having these sports stars promoting this kind of food to our kids through sport. I mean, if we all lived life the way sports stars do in commercials, we'd wake up to a bowl of 14 Gatorade-drenched Wheat Bix, we'd smash a Milo, have KFC for lunch, snack on everything Uncle Toby's has ever produced, and then have a heart attack for dinner. I know as a child I dreamt of being a professional athlete, eating nothing but the products that my sporting heroes endorsed. But then my dreams were dashed when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and the inability to catch. Now, the study went on to find that these children were also influenced by seeing nutritional information buzzwords on the side of the packet. So, I don't love chocolate, I love 10 vitamins and minerals, only crunchy. And to find out just how dangerous these endorsements are, let's turn to Mark Humphries, the Roast's food correspondent. Mark, how problematic is this athlete sponsorship of junk food?
There seems to be some confusion here. KFC doesn't want kids to eat KFC. They want cricketers to eat KFC. And to a lesser extent, the Madden brothers. KFC knows that fried chicken is part of a balanced diet if you spend most of your days chasing a ball, or running while preparing to throw a ball, or just balling. But for everyone else, it's out of bounds. I gotta say, Tom, these boys who buy food because they see sports people on the packaging, they sound a bit dumb. When boys see a female symbol on a toilet door, they don't go barging in. So why, when they see a cricketer on a box of chicken, do they think that the chicken is for them? It's for cricketers. And it's not just fast food, it's breakfast cereal as well. I mean, look at this Wheat Bix ad featuring Brett Lee.
How many do you do?
7? The man eats 7 Wheat Bix. So unless you're playing cricket on an IPL salary, that's not just excessive, it's fiscally irresponsible. If, however, you're playing Xbox full-time or hosting a TV show, I think you'll find 2 Wheat Bix will be more than sufficient. The same goes for Nutri-Grain. It's high in sugar, so they openly promote themselves as being Iron Man food. They're food for Iron Men, Tom. If you're not an Iron Man, it's not for you.
Sorry, Mark.
You're part of the problem, Tom, which is why I say if you want to eat Nutri-Grain, you should have to run through an apocalyptic wasteland, rapidly aging from 6 to 30, and at the end, you get a hug from your mum.
All right, thanks, Mark. Now, enough about what I shouldn't be eating and hugging. Let's move on to what other people shouldn't be hugging. Cardinal George Pell yesterday faced the Victorian Parliamentary Inquiry into the Catholic Church's handling of child abuse claims. With over 620 allegations spanning 80 years levelled against the Church, he responded with,
"I am fully apologetic and absolutely sorry."
So he's absolutely sorry? Then that's problem solved. Good night. No, I was being glib. It didn't solve anything at all. This is still a massive problem. Now, we're well aware that this is a very sensitive topic, so rather than say anything that might offend, we're willing to let the Cardinal attempt a reasonable explanation.
One big factor is that we deal with an enormous number of children.
That's right, Cardinal Pell. It's a numbers game. The more children you deal with, the more likely something's going to happen. See, here at The Roast, we deal with an enormous amount of news, which is why I occasionally molest a newspaper. And a large amount of media criticism is focused on the prolonged silence of the Church before addressing the abuse, to which Cardinal Pell responded,
"If we'd been gossips, which we weren't, we would have realised earlier just how widespread this business was."
Well, at least they're not gossiping about the abuses they're covering up. God would hate that. So how should the Church make reparations for the decades of emotional and physical damage they've caused the victims and their families? We'll cross now to our religious affairs correspondent, Nick Richardson, for more. Nick.
Thanks, Tom. The Catholic Church is currently in crisis mode. They've set up something called the Melbourne Response, which can provide up to $75,000 available through the compensation panel to people who've been abused sexually, physically, or emotionally.
Okay, and how do they hope that that will prevent more child abuse?
Prevention? No, Tom. It's the Melbourne Response, not the Melbourne Actually Fix the Problem. But don't worry, the Melbourne Response will be there to help you pick up the pieces of your life right after you've been sexually abused.
Okay, so you think the response is poor?
Well, Pell has put himself in a difficult position by saying the Catholic Church should be treated exactly like every other institution in Australian society. Because if they wanted to be treated equally, they'd be shut down and made illegal. Imagine if the Roast had systematically abused hundreds of kids over the decades. We couldn't just say sorry and keep broadcasting. We'd be shut down and beaten up. The problem is the institution.
Okay, so how can the Catholic Church fundamentally change then?
Right, one word: labelling. Just like anything that's dangerous to children, the Catholic Church should be clearly labelled. As with smoking and drinking, only responsible adults should be allowed to attend church. And finally, get one of those child-proof locks you get on a medicine bottle. Those things are impossible to open.
Anything else the Catholic Church could do?
Well, No, it's too crazy.
Go on, tell me.
Well, they could let their priests marry and have sex with adults.
Would that help?
More than an apology would.
All right, thanks, Nick. And that's that story done. I'd just like to say if in reporting this story we offended any members of the Catholic Church, look sincere, I am fully apologetic and absolutely sorry. Good night.